Hey there, Castlebrook Dragons test takers. This is Mr. Corrigal talking about the news report on the OSSLT. Let's get down to business. If I were studying for this test, I would go to eqao.com, as mentioned before. I would enter the site. I would go to Student Resources. I would click on Ontario Secondary School Literacy Test, and I would check out the sample test for 2014 and 2015. As you can see, they're talking about how you will receive two booklets, one with the questions, one with the answers. I'm going to check out question booklet number 1, and I'm going to flip through this question booklet until I find the task that asks me to write a news report. And you can see some of the other tasks as I move through here. This is the one that I'm looking for, writing a news report. So as you can see, we have a headline. In this case, it is Students Participate in Important Election. We have a picture, and we are allowed to use this picture to infer some meaning. And this is also helpful. It tells us our task. Here it says, it asks us to write a news report based on the headline and picture above. And this is important. You will have to make up the facts and information. So there is a bit of role playing here. You will have to use your imagination. But what we will have to do is answer some or all. I would suggest answering all of the following questions, which are the 5 W's plus H. Who, what, where, when, why, and how. You must relate your news report to both the headline and the picture. And once again, a line space is provided in the answer booklet, and that line space will tell you how much or how long your writing should be. Okay, so if I were doing this task, the first thing that I would do is I would just remind myself that there are some factors in newsworthiness, namely timeliness. This means that things that happen recently are more newsworthy. Proximity, this means that things that happen close by are typically more newsworthy. And newsworthy events have some exceptional quality. Perhaps they involve a prominent person or a famous person. There might be some conflict that people would find interesting, and important news stories often affect a number of people. Okay, so I just keep that in mind as I go forward. And you should remember from perhaps your middle school days or at least high school, a 5W plus H organizer. If I were taking the test, I would take a few minutes to fill out one of these. What has happened? Well, we know from the picture and headline that there is an important election. This word important, this is where we're going to have to use our imagination to hopefully fill in some details there. What makes this election important? Then, another question, where did it happen? For this example, I'm going to use that idea of proximity or closeness. If I know that things that happen nearby are more newsworthy, then I'm going to try to pick a nearby place. So I will say this happened at Castlebrook Secondary School. When did it happen? Well, previously I mentioned that newsworthy events are usually timely, which means they happened recently. So on the date of the OSSLT, that will be March 26th, we will say that this election happened on March 25th, 2015. Why? Because that is timely. Why did it happen? Now this is where we have to use our imagination to hopefully create something newsworthy. Why don't we say, we will say that Castlebrook's last class president graduated after a long term in office. Okay, so I'm starting to create a bit of newsworthiness here by saying that the incumbent or the last class president was in office for a long time. Who was involved? Well, let's say that we'll say a grade 12 student I'm not going to use my first name here. And a grade 9 student. Let's say, I don't know. Remember, we're making things up. Why don't we? How did it happen? Remember, we're trying to create news. There we have who was involved. Why did it happen? Another way we can create news is try to think of a first time. We'll say for the first time, Castlebrook's Student Council used e-voting. So again, that's something that's has impact because it's the first time it's been done that way. Once I have the 5 W's plus H planned out like this, the next step that I would take is thinking a little bit about the inverted pyramid. I want to put my most important points in the beginning. And then I would also put important information about the topic in the middle, and I would put my least essential details near the end. One other thing I want to show you before we finish up is a really good resource that I've seen around the Peel board, and I just want to give credit to Dale Simnett and Darren Reed, who created this resource in 2009. In this article, they talk about putting together the news report. So we mentioned a headline is provided for you, so is a picture. In this case, the creators of this resource identified a few other characteristics of a news article, and you can see them here. I'm just going to go down because they provide a nice little example here. Here you see the headline, which is provided, a picture which is already provided. Here they say that you may use a byline, so this would be the writer's name or your name, and also you can play the role of a staff reporter. Remember, you can use your imagination here. Here you have a date line, so we mentioned that a good idea for this, if we want to remain timely, is to use March 25th, 2015. Also, you may use a place line. So if you know that if our news article is happening at Castlebrook instead of Canberra, you would put Brampton. The lead, as mentioned, you want to catch the reader's interest. You want to provide the most important information that introduces the topic. Once again, the middle paragraph would provide additional information, perhaps answering the how and why. And in this example, one other thing that should be noted is providing a quotation of somebody at the scene also helps create a realistic news article. Okay, in this case, you could ask Mr. Corrigal or perhaps Mr. Simnett if you would like to see more of this resource. Otherwise, that's about it regarding the news article. I hope that helps. And please check out the video to follow that talks about the rubric for your news report. I hope you found it informational. study hard, and thank you very much.